I was in my final year in the university and I did my project on chicken. And I got to the university farm and saw that they have died. Meaning that I will be spending an extra year. So I gathered them together. I knelt down and I was crying and I was weeping. I was not praying so that they would get up. And as the tears were dropping, I knelt down on the university farm. This dead chicken all stood up one by one. My name is Isaac Omolehin. And what I do for God, I am an evangelist. What I do at the side of being an evangelist, I'm a farmer. And the reason why I farm, number one, I studied agric in school. Number two, when the demand for money in my ministry, the work of an evangelist, crusades, you pump money out. It's different from church. In church, you gather money in. Tithes will come in, offering will come in. Now we have even generated different headlines on which money will come in. The offering of firstborn, as is Amadu. First fruit, prophet offering, Yeah, the church has evolved different ways by which money come in. There's harvest, ikore, ajodun. They will do anniversary of men, anniversary of women, youths, and so on. The evangelist has no such proliferated opportunities to make income. In fact, the money you collect in crusades can't even buy diesel for the generator. So sometimes, in order not to overburden our audience and take offering, talk of money, just contributing money, I have to find alternative ways to generate money to push my evangelistic work without having to look at the hand of a man before I do my work. So I farm, and I do it big time. As of old life, I've always been a church boy. I was born in church, singing in the choir all my life. But that wasn't where it ended. I have no salvation. Just like it is in some of our churches today, the churches are full of worshipers, but those who are saved are few. So in 1972, there was an FCS conference in Katsina. Then I was in GSS Dekina. And I was chosen from my FCS fellowship in Dekina. I've always been a very religious person, to go and represent the school with one or two others. So we were in Katsina in July. Then John Dean was one of the first missionaries and traveling secretaries that we had in the itinerant ministry in Nigeria, especially among students and young people. He was the one who preached that night. He's a British missionary. And when he preached, what he said that night, I cannot remember. But what happened to me that night remains with me for life. He gave an altar call, which I responded to go out and give my life to Christ. Why I was doing that, I can't even explain. But I did. And he led me to Christ. That process was not even easy because the service had ended, and we were told, those of us who came out to give our lives to Christ, who were told to wait behind. But instead of waiting, I was going away. I got to the door, and somebody said, "You asked to wait, go back." So I went back, and I thank God I did. Then we were given to people to follow us up. There's a brother who came from ABU, they call his name Joe Agbe. Joe Agbe was the one who sat me down to explain to me why coming out will be my first step in a very long journey. And after doing that, I read scriptures, I did further praying, and I was let go. And I knew that night that something serious had happened to me, because till daybreak I couldn't sleep. There was joy in my heart that was too much to sleep. I stayed awake the whole night singing till daybreak. It's a memory and an event that will be with me forever. Recently, I've been looking for John Dean and never knew where I could find him, until I got in touch with Emmanuel Oladipo, who was also a traveling secretary in the FCS in those days. And he is based in England, to ask him if he could help me trace John Dean. Because as a matter of fact, he was the one who took over from John Dean when John Dean retired, or I think he moved to East Africa. And when I was in London last year, I went to Manchester. Brother Emmanuel Oladipo, as we call him then, told me that he has traced John Dean, and John Dean is in Leicester. So I took off from Manchester and drove some hours to Leicester. First of all, to the house of Emmanuel Oladipo, who then took me to the house of John Dean that was 15 minutes drive. And there I met John Dean again after 1972. I knelt down in front of him to tell him what happened to me when he preached. John Dean is about 92. He barely could walk. He came out of his room to receive me, almost dragging himself on. And I knelt down in front of him, and he held his feeble hand on me and prayed for me. So I still saw John Dean last year. I was assured of my salvation that very night I gave my life to Christ. There was joy. And those are the immediate evidences of salvation. The Bible says there's joy in heaven over a sinner who repents. It's not only joy in heaven, there's also joy in the heart of the recipient. So I couldn't sleep the whole night. I was so happy. And I needed no further proof that something serious has happened to me. Emmanuel Oladipo was our traveling secretary. Those who made the earliest impacts on my Christian journey, when I believe within 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years after I believed, they were the reasons I am where I am today. Because then that foundation was very solid and sure. FCS Scripture Union, they were the teachers that showed us, that gave us a roadmap for salvation and the post-salvation experience that we need to know and learn. So Emmanuel Oladipo, Reverend Dr. Mike Oye, who in fact later ordained me into ministry. He's my spiritual father. Those are my mentors. There were others who contributed along the way. For example, Reverend Moses Arias of Ekwa, he helped me a lot. Then Prophet Obadari, who was an evangelist in the power sector of the ministry, he helped me a lot. So these men contributed immensely to my spiritual development. Well, my journey, I was lucky, unlike today, to belong to fellowships outside the school fellowships that were in town, non-denominational fellowships that had no denominational strings attached to believing. They had no denominational viruses attached to continuing in faith and in the knowledge of God and the knowledge of the Bible. These fellowships were very helpful, and I'm very glad that I knew Christ, not in the existing church system, but in the fellowship system that really showed me Christ. I thank God that I met the Lord solidly before I entered the denominational system. The fellowship system, which indeed will be the last system when we get to heaven, where believers will come from everywhere, and it will be one fold and one shepherd. Fellowship systems that went all the way. Postgraduate, you have graduate fellowship in those days that keeps you on track to stay steady. And the knowledge of God was growing as we studied the Bible and how we need to enter into service at different arms and wings of service. But my portion was evangelistic, so I swing to the evangelistic, not to the pastoral. And God has helped me to face that line. The first challenge I faced was poverty. I had vision, massive, robust vision. I'll be walking through the market and looking at people alone, I'll be shedding tears. The question is, where will these ones end up? And the passion for souls was so intense that I couldn't walk away without waiting to see what I would do in response to the burden that was growing. And the burden was growing again in response to the level of transgression and iniquity that was also growing in the society. The level of iniquity that was growing in the society was also triggering in me a rising passion that would not be left behind. So I had to devise means by which I can respond to the volume of transgression in the society. And in doing that, I was having more vision than I could fund. I will go and rent equipment for crusade, and I will not have enough money to pay. I will tell the person to give me time, that when we collect offering, then I did not know that crusade offering cannot fund crusade. I did not know. So I was running into a lot of crisis. So the money I'm supposed to pay the person from whom I had borrowed equipment will not have been paid, because the money I came back, we cannot pay. And yet I have another crusade that I will be coming back to rent equipment. So bills were piling up at the rental store. I had disgraceful treatment in the hand of people, not because I borrowed money to eat. I was doing crusade with recharge lamp. I had not enough money to rent a generator. Where I could rent a generator, I can't buy petrol inside. So I had a lot of crisis funding a vision. I've never been in shortage of visions, but I've always been in shortage of funding. So that's the beginning, and it is very traumatic. Number two, I did not have enough wisdom to pick a job. It was as if Jesus will be here next time, and I don't want him to come and meet me while I'm doing something elsewhere. So the passion, like David was saying, that the zeal of your house consumed me. The passion that the work of God is so much of priority was overwhelming, that I couldn't pick a secular job to at least have a guaranteed source of income that I can leverage on in my drive for, and my strong passion and appetite for ministry. I did not have enough wisdom, and I did not have enough counsel. Those who are watching me were just watching me, and I almost became a beggar. In fact, I was a beggar in Ilorin. I was reduced to that. My children's school fees will be due, and I cannot pay. I was going to be thrown out of the house with 4 children in Adewale Estate because I was to pay 1,000 naira per month as rent, and I couldn't pay. So I went through these serious troubles in my life, serious troubles. And I thank God my children and my wife, they stayed with me inside all of these experiences until I gradually exit that phase of my life. I suffered lack. That was also one of the propelling forces that drove me into practical agriculture. At least if I can get food from my farm, that will reduce the overall cost of sustaining my house and family. And I became blessed on the farm. This Isaac you are seeing, if you go back to Genesis chapter 26, that Isaac sowed in the land, and in that year he reaped 100. I began to flourish, and God began to bless. But just today they came to tell me, my pigs give birth to 16.
Wow.
And I have like 300 of them like that. Wow. So then I have cows. I don't even know how many thousands of fish I have inside the pond. So somehow my branching to agric in order to solve some of my financial problems in ministry paid off. My wife went and started Orphanage. And that on its own, orphanage don't bring money, you have to keep spending. And this year alone, 5 of the children in the orphanage entered the university. So I keep having to pay bills, but my farm could pay. No, it didn't. In fact, it gave me pleasure and leisure. When I'm not going to preach, for instance, I just go to farm and go around, spend 1 hour with the staff, we sit down, we eat, we drink. I could ask them, put some fish and roast on the fire while I'm here, bring some maize and put on fire. So it provided a relaxation, a leisure, a kind of off-duty, low levels of, because the wear and tear in the work of an evangelist is very strong. So you need low moments, which my farm was producing. So my farm was not producing any distraction at all. I may not even go there for months. When I'm on the field, I have farm managers. There are those who are on the fish, there are those who are on the poultry, there are those who are on the cattle, there are those who are doing different things, and they do their job. If they have a problem, because I read it in the books and I also practice it, if they have a problem that they don't really know what to do, they could call me and I could give counsel. And sometimes I'm lucky. One day my cow wanted to calve, that is pregnant, is about to give birth. Then he brought one leg out, a front leg. And this cow suffered and could not give birth. I knew what to do, but it would take me 30 minutes from farm to town to buy the injection and another 30 to go back. And my manager told me in 1 hour, this animal will die. I need 30 to come, I need 30 to go. He said, sir, in 1 hour, this animal will die. So what am I going to do? He said, there are certain leaves behind the house. If I go and cut it and juice it, if you drink it, it will give birth. You know those leaves? He said, they are here. And that's what he did. And the animal will. Wow. So I have staff that are competent enough to know what to do. For example, my chicken, if you rear broilers, for instance, you have to be giving vaccination at some different times of their growth and development. One day, my poultry manager called me and said, this vaccination we are giving, you don't need it. More so, we don't even have the money at that time to go to town and buy vaccine. He said, sir, I know some leaves. I know the bark of a certain tree. If we boil it and pour the water in the tank and they drink it, We don't need vaccination. Can we try it? They said those leaves are there, the trees are there on the farm. That's what it did. Today, on my farm, we don't use vaccination. And my birds, if I take 100 birds day old, I sell 100 birds, not one die. Umbrellas are notorious for dying. They are very, very weak and feeble animals. So God has blessed me with certain special knowledge that are not even in the books that helps us on the farm. So the farm is not a distraction at all. The farm is a blessing. In the power sector, I was in my final year in the university and I did my project on chicken. And I got to the university farm and saw that they have died. Meaning that I will be spending an extra year. So I gathered them together. I knelt down and I was crying and I was weeping. I was not praying so that they would get up. I was praying because of the extra year. I was lamenting. My father didn't put me in school on time. Some of my classmates have finished NYSC. I'm still struggling with a project. Lamenting all that. And as the tears were dropping, I knelt down the university farm. This dead chicken all stood up one by one. Since then, I knew that I was going somewhere. That if I could raise chicken, I would raise men. Those are very significant. They are the earliest signs that was pointing to me that, look, you are not in a business that is a joke. I served NYSC under Charles Achonwa. At that time, Charles Achonwa was the NIFES traveling secretary, and we were covering Niger State, Kwara State, and Kogi at that time. And he went to Jos or Bauchi, and asked me to go and speak at the NIFES Easter Conference in Egbe. And I went. Then I had just married. And I was preaching. If I close my eyes when we were praying, I would see an angel. He was standing next to me. His body heat was affecting me. I was moving for him. But if I opened my eye, I would not see him. But I continued until I saw that the people who were sitting on the front row, their chairs were lifted into the air with them sitting. And their chairs came to me on the altar and bent and they fell. And their chairs went to rearrange themselves back from where it took us. They were experiences. I had even prayed if I could have a repeat experience in my life before I die or before Jesus come, and I have not seen that. If you throw a dead person inside that hall that day without prayer, he will stand. An angel was physically present. Those were not the days when we were talking of crowd, of numbers. How many people were in Egbe in the NIFES retreat? Those were not the days we were talking of money. We were not counting money in those days. We were counting souls. Those were not the days when we were talking about commercial Christianity or thinking of what we will get from Jesus, but rather what we will give. The experiences were so diverse. I was returning from the field. Then I had gotten a driver. And my petrol finished. 2 hours to Ilorin. And petrol finished, it was in the night. Of course, petrol won't finish suddenly. The vehicle will start jacking. Then this vehicle is going to stop. My driver told me and says, this vehicle is going to stop. It has shown the light, the red light for a while, just ignore it. But now this vehicle is going to stop. And it stopped. Then I came out, I prayed. I said, God, go ye took me out. Now I have to go back. It's night. I'm still 2 hours from you. I'm going to drive this car on empty tank. And I entered, I kicked the car. it answered me again. I drove the car to my house on empty tank. I had gone to preach in a Federal Training Center here in Ilorin. And after the meeting, they escorted me to the road to take a bus. I will need to take 2 buses before I get home. One bus to Ojaba, the next bus from Ojaba to Federal Government College. And I was expecting that the students would give me honorarium. They didn't. And I was ashamed to ask. So I entered the bus and I told God, I don't have money to pay. Please don't let them ask me. And they didn't. But I still have one more from Ojaba to Federal Government College. So I entered the second one and told God that, God, you did not let them ask me this time. This one also, I don't know how I would do it, because the bus would turn from the gate of Federal Government College. That's the last bus stop. And all the passengers had dropped, it remained me alone. And for that reason, the vehicle got all the way down to Federal Government College gate. And the conductor opened the door of the bus. And I didn't know what to do. I sat there. And I know I must not make a mistake. 1 second of error, I will be in the shame and disgrace. So I sat back. And the conductor said, Oda Rosa, that is, good night, sir. Oh, then I knew I was supposed to go. I came back home without paying. I used to travel in those days. If I don't have money, I will still travel. I have strange experiences over the years. Felicia used to come and steal our money here and attack our members when I arrived here. He's an armed robber. He used to rob people the whole of Guy Man here. One day he came to rob, cut chain, snatch bag, snatch handset. I gave Walter a call, then he came forward. He said he didn't know how he arrived in the front. It's okay. So I led him to Christ. And Felicia returned to Guy Man. All the people he robbed, he was returning their money. And joined my crusade team. Felicia is now an evangelist in Nota. He used to be an armed robber. He joined armed robbery at the age of 13. He gave his life to Christ at the age of 23. So it was 10 years. They used to pass him through the window to go inside and open door. By 23, he had his own gang that he was leading. He had become an expert. Felicia gave his life to Christ. Joined my crusade team and was going about with me until the Lord made him an evangelist. But the point I'm making is he went back to Guy Man and was giving back to the people he robbed what he took from them. Restitution. Then our Mogaji in Guy Man came to me with 3 chiefs. That Guy Man had changed since I arrived here. Armed robbers are all over the place. The place is full of Indian hemp sellers. But since I arrived here, there have been peace in Guy Man. And Guy Man has sent them to come and thank us in this church for bringing peace to the environment. Felicia is not the only one. I've had others where I collected the gun from the armed robber and gave him the Bible. So we're not just talking of the blind see, the lame walk. Which is about the loudest noise evangelists make all around the world today. You see the front of magazine, they carry wheelchair. We're also talking about souls, transformation of lives. One lady walked to my wife and I with her 5-year-old daughter and said, "Sir, we hear that you have orphanage here." I said, "Yes." He said, "This my daughter is 5 years. I am a prostitute. And I practice in only one room. And this girl is beginning to see what I am happening, what I'm doing. And sometimes when a customer comes, I say, go and play. And not long, she will start knocking the door again and I cannot open. So can you please keep this girl with you?" She said one thing in Yoruba that will stay with me for a very long time. That is, I know it's like my own is gone. But I don't want this girl to be spoiled. So we kept the girl with us. And she will come and see the girl, buy chewing gum, buy and go. So one day I said, why don't you, instead of coming to where we live, why don't you come to meet us in church? We'll bring the girl along. So, but my wisdom then was that if she come, she will hear the word of God before she go. So she was coming and listening. She was coming and listening. She was coming and listening. And one day, I asked her, I said, sister, this one you leave here and go back to hotel where you are doing prostitute. Suppose I get you some money so you can start doing business. He said, if I get that, will I be a prostitute? So, Alagba, please, can I get 1,000 naira from you? Deepness, can I get 500? So I got some money and gave it to her. And she started trading. Sir, today she's a businesswoman. The other day they were singing in the choir and I looked and I saw her there. And this daughter that was with us at that time is now in SS2 and now goes, she relocated and rented a house in a place in Ilorin where nobody knew her, where she's doing business. This daughter now goes to spend weekend with the mother and come back. My wife will go to town because 6 out of about 100 children in the orphanage, we took them from mad women who gave birth on the streets and cannot take care. We take the child to the orphanage. Sometimes you want to take the child, she will not give you. She will bite you and fight you. So sometimes we take the two of them. If you get to our orphanage now, you see the mad women that are with their babies. They are there. And I begin to pray for them. I begin to treat them, take them to the hospital and look after them. Many of them have become normal. And what the hospital people told us that you have to find work for them. If she's idle, she could relapse. So my wife will ask them, what do you want to do? They say, I want to trade. My wife opens a supermarket where she owns her own supermarket. This one now bath the children in the morning, take them to school. The same children that we took away, we took them with the baby. Take them to school. After school, go and bring them, cook for them. And because I have a farm, I could now employ them on the farm. They earn salaries and live a life that you never know they were mad. Yes. Rashida trekked from Ibadan to Ilorin. When she became well, and we now ask her where she come from, she said from Ibadan. If we take you to Ibadan now, you think you know home. He said, take me there, I will show you how we get home. My wife spoke to Ministry of Social Welfare. Because we are going to another state, social welfare called social welfare of your state. We met at a junction. Because we don't want to take Rashida home and they will mob us that where did you, that maybe you are the one who killed. So officials of Oyo State and Kwara, we went to the house. She said, follow here, that's our house over there. We got there, come and see a drama. They were all coming out and weeping and crying. Rashida is a mother of 3. The children were all hanging. Mama, where have you? They said she went out and did not know the way back home. And it has been 4 years they've been looking for her. We pick her on the street in Ilorin. We don't know how many years he spent in Oyo, and we're not sure. He said, the more I go trying to find how I will get home, the farther the house seemed. We picked her sitting down on the bridge of Amti, naked. She had been wearing the same dress for 4 years. But Rashida is well now, and some others are well, some others are well, some others are well. Some others, they now have jobs because I could employ them. I have farm. They could work in poultry. Some can work in fishery, throw food at sea. So my ministry is not just church. We are also doing church. You can see we have church. but we do more than that. The field work of an evangelist brings me in contact with human beings who are in crisis, to which we must respond. So that you sit inside your church and be asking everybody to come. Jesus said, go ye. There are those who cannot. It's all a leadership problem. It's all a leadership problem. There's a Yoruba adage that says that fish start spoiling from the head. Whenever fish want to start spoiling, it's from the head. The present coldness and softness and weakness in the church is as a result of corruption, as a result of heads that are not sound. Rottenness, nothing that is rotten will be hard. If orange rots, it will be soft. If banana is rotten, it will be soft. The softness of the church that had brought the church to this level is as a result of the rottenness, and the rottenness is a result of corruption in the body. I was in Kaba. I lived in Kaba for quite a while. Reverend Moody was a pastor of Equa Church in Kaba. He met armed robbers and they pointed the gun at him and said, Reverend Moody, give us all the money in your hand. Reverend Moody said, give me that gun. The thief knelt down and handed over the gun to Reverend Moody. Before, the church was not like this. You don't try it. When Idahosa was here and was leading the Pentecostals, did you hear of things like this? Who will try it? But it is when there is a compromise, when there is weakness, when the leadership is not strong, and you can't be strong if you are in fornication. You can't be strong if you are in corruption. You are sleeping with the church members and you are helping them to arrange abortion. Will we not see pastors and general overseers who are raping members? And the thing is on the front pages of newspapers in this country. And what happened? If the church continue to run a corrupt system, the enemy will attack us. Was it not when Israel began to sin? The Babylonian armies enter Israel and carry them all away. What is happening to the church in Nigeria today is as a result of corruption and so much transgression. If the Holy Spirit is among us and the Lord is present with us as of old, they won't try it. Ananias and Sapphira died inside church. So the solution is not in police. Let's go back to God. Let's go back. But what is happening? There's a disconnect. The leaders go to church in armored cars, in bulletproof cars. This bulletproof car is also surrounded with rifle carrying escort to the church. Man of God, go to church on Sunday, sir, in bulletproof car. And the armed rifle people are carrying as if church is a war zone, as if church is not for fellowship again. That's what we have now. But the members are being killed inside church. Members are being kidnapped. His pastor is slaughtered. The wife and the daughters are taken to the bush. Some have spent 1 year in the bush. But our guy is going in. There's a disconnect. The churches in the rural places are very poor. That I know. I'm a rural evangelist. Their leaders are flaunting money and we are being told the richest man. But the members out there, you must possibly have had it in the gossip that 5 out of the richest pastors in the world are from Nigeria. But out of the 10 richest churches in the world, none is from Nigeria. How does that sound? How does that sound? Sir, 5 of the richest pastors in the world are from Nigeria. And out of the 10 richest churches in the world, none is from Nigeria. There's a disconnect between this rich man of God and the poor. So we are having a rich man of God and a poor church. That's not the way. So there's corruption in the church. And that accounts for the weakness of the church. And the weakness of the church is the reason why we are vulnerable. I am being persecuted by the churches in Nigeria. And the reason is simple. Maggots will never like anybody who is removing the rot. Because maggots survive in the rot. When I came up talking about, look at what I have just explained to you. These pastors will not like to hear that. Sir, we have been keeping quiet, keep quiet, don't talk. That's how things got spoiled to this level, sir. Now, gay churches have started in Lekki. Gay churches have arrived in Nigeria, sir, and they are Pentecostals. You will not go there now and see a Baptist gay church or Anglican. They are Pentecostals. And the greater problem that the Nigerian church is facing today is from the Pentecostals, the general overseers. They are now, what they do, they don't want anybody to talk about it. Maybe for the first time after a long while, because everybody is afraid. Isaac Omolehin is not, I am 74. I've been preaching for 50 years. Who am I supposed to still be afraid of? Where are they coming from? How many of them are my seniors? So when you start talking and criticizing the rottenness in the church, the way I have been doing over the past few months, they will fight back. And that's what is happening. They are persecuting me. I will be heading somewhere to preach. They will send there and say they should not allow me to preach. I was to preach in Arakeji, and they invited me. Just as I was trying to go, they brought a letter that you have been banned. I was to start a revival in a church in London Friday, 4 days ago. I'm supposed to be rounding yesterday service and be coming home now. They bought my ticket. On my way to London, they say you have been banned. I mean, I'm telling you of Friday last week that was to end yesterday, and my ticket had been bought, business class. They stopped me. And nobody has come up to say, the reason we are against Isaac Omolehin is because he committed fornication. He is starting to preach false doctrine. And we don't want his false doctrine to affect our members. If there's a Bible sin that has been highlighted against me, then I will do a soul searching, maybe repent of it. There is none. There is none. It's just that what is happening to me is what happened to Jesus. And I don't know how Jesus would have run a ministry without talking about the Pharisees and the Sadducees and the Sanhedrins, about the system, the rotten system he met. What type of ministry would Jesus be running at that time? And he will not talk about Pharisees, he will not talk about Sadducees. He had to, and he did. But you will also notice that the Pharisees also fought him. They call him names. They said he had Beelzebub. They said he's full of evil spirit. And Jesus will also talk back and say, you are a white-headed sepulchre. So it was a running battle between Jesus and the Pharisees. And That's what I am going through. It's normal. It's biblical. I am not in any strange land. So the one that the PFN was denying, but I've just told you one that happened yesterday. So how many are we going to deny now? These deniers and letter writers, what you are likely going to see there, you will be hearing the voice of Jacob and be seeing the hand of Esau. It's like a black man. You never really know what's going on. PFN letters are like a black market. Don't pay attention to it. There's nothing there. They are the works of people who are not very busy. So this matter is very simple. It doesn't need letter writers. Now they are writing from federal, they are writing from Lagos local state. Maybe now they will start writing from local government. What Jesus said, sir, these people don't know Bible. What Jesus said is that we should go to all nations and preach the gospel. Okay? But he also told us that in the course of you going to nations, places to preach, that you may get to a place where your message is rejected. So he said what we should do is to shake the dust of our feet and move on. Jesus did not ask us to start to do investigation. Jesus did not ask us to commence a debate. Jesus did not ask us to start doing letter writing and denials and so on and so on. That's the work of idle people who don't know Bible. What the Bible says is that shake the dust of your feet and move on. Because the time you are engaged in the argument, you are supposed to be in another place. You are wasting time. The Bible did not ask us to start asking who said, who when the Bible did not ask us to do that. I think the Bible knew that as an option. But what the Bible tells us to do is to shake your feet and move on. I've moved on. Now, when I couldn't go to London, when I saw that I have been stopped in London, Glory Tabernacle in Ibadan asked me to come and preach. And that's where I spent the weekend. I'm not in short supply of where to preach. In the next 5 years, I can't exhaust the invitation. The more I'm persecuted, the more doors are open. Well, I've written about 40 books and published quite a number. But my church got burnt recently and all my works went up in flames. I'm just now trying to see if I can recover some by going back to the printer to see if it still has the plates. The commercial gospel that is being peddled in Nigeria, the commercial gospel that is being gradually used to replace the original gospel, and which is well funded by the rotten churches. You see, when you are funding a rotten agenda, it will still go. And the helpless fellows who are following the rotten agenda, having no choice because of witchcraft. It's like you have made slaves, and these denominations have actually become slave camps, where witchcraft has veiled the faces of those who are there. You even be telling them, they will be arguing. That's what witchcraft does. You can see the number. Now, look at what is happening now. They are even now, what is supposed to be our spiritual commonwealth. And you started the church, we all came in and we started the church. Now the church has grown big and rich. You are now turning it to family property by installing your children, your wife, and relations to head the church. Now, the worshippers are unable to reason. That's where witchcraft comes in. That look, this man is now making all of you to become the property of their family. It's now a family church, a family business. Because they have amassed so much wealth and bad fleet of aeroplane that they cannot just walk away and hand over to another geo. They can't. They want to become. That will not happen in the Methodist Church. That will not happen in the Baptist. Nobody can now make the church to become his family property. You can't do that in the Anglican. You have a retirement age. Another retirement age in the Anglican, you go. But these fellows also have retirement age, at which they even retire some of the younger ones. But they themselves are staying after 70. They are staying in 80. Even their own rules, they are not following. That's corruption. A church cannot be strong in corruption. So, to answer your question, if you are conducting this kind of interview and there are those who have courage to answer, then there is hope for the coming generation. Otherwise, my grandchildren may never know the correct brand of Christianity.